Leonardo DiCaprio and Paul Thomas Anderson are two guys who have been constantly bringing their A game for what feels like forever now. So what happens when the two of them combine forces for a 3-hour blockbuster? We are taken on an absolute ride, baby. One Battle After Another is the latest film from Paul Thomas Anderson, and it centers around a band of ex-revolutionaries who reunite to rescue the daughter of one of their own after their evil nemesis resurfaces after 16 years. So this is one of those movies where I don't really need to hear all that much about it for me to become totally on board. Come on, Leonardo DiCaprio, Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm pretty much already sold right there from the jump. The resumes of these two dudes alone make it so that you just have to check out whatever it is they've been cooking up for us. PTA films somehow always have the capacity to make you anxious, get you laughing, and leave you horrified all at the same time without missing a single beat. It's like the movie version of spending time at the Thanksgiving dinner table. And we don't have a better leading man at our disposal to expertly navigate all of those complex emotions with better precision than our guy Leo. So when I sat down to watch this film, I was expecting a thrilling, emotional whirlwind jam-packed with impressive performances and boasting a killer screenplay, and One Battle After Another pretty much delivers on all of those fronts and offers up one of the most unique movie-going experiences of the entire year. When it comes to the story they decided to go with here, like the vast majority of Paul Thomas Anderson's catalog, the plot seems pretty simple on the surface, but ends up leaving a lot of room to be dissected emotionally and politically. What starts out as a decently straightforward rescue mission plot, after setting the table, unfurls into this layered and sprawling commentary on loyalty, fascism, and the complexities of fatherhood. I think the film does a good job of getting its message across without feeling like it's forcing it down your throat, and it didn't come off as too preachy, even though it follows a band of opinionated revolutionaries. Arguably the most impressive aspect of this entire ordeal is that this isn't some get-in, get-out 90-minute movie. You've got an almost 3-hour experience on your hands, and it somehow stays pretty breezy and keeps its eye on the prize from beginning to end. You know, it's becoming harder for someone to even write a tweet these days that's worth my time and will keep me entertained all the way through. So managing to have me locked in for almost 180 minutes is an immensely difficult task. I do think some scenes maybe linger on a little bit longer than they should, and a few spots of dialogue ended up being too tongue-in-cheek to be realistic, but the story is rock solid. Let's talk about some of the performances in this film, because obviously Leonardo DiCaprio is the main draw here, but Paul Thomas Anderson always manages to attract a pretty stellar ensemble for all of his projects, and that's no different here when you see that Sean Penn, Regina Hall, and Benicio del Toro are rounding out the roster. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Tiana Taylor and newcomer Chase Infinity, who are welcome additions to this cast. They all do a good job and have solid chemistry amongst one another, especially DiCaprio and del Toro, who bring a lot of the comic relief, but none of them are the MVP of the movie. Sean Penn plays the main antagonist of the film, and this man is like a rabid dog off the leash that hasn't eaten since who knows when. I'm struggling to think of a villain role that has felt more daunting and formidable in recent years than this one. He's got this looming presence over the film that even when he's not a player in a particular scene, you're still wondering what his mean ass is up to. He's kind of a poor man's Hans Landa from Inglourious Basterds here, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. We need to discuss a little bit about how this movie is handled from a directorial standpoint, because for my money, Paul Thomas Anderson is one of those super skilled directors who really know their way around a camera and is constantly surprising you with how calculated and adventurous he is. Because some of the cinematography in here is truly insane, and there's a car sequence towards the end of the film where the camera is utilized in a way that I don't think I've ever really seen before, completely making use of every inch of that big old IMAX screen. Pair something like that with the score of this movie, and those moments really swell and are all-encompassing. And it's funny, since he's kind of known for creating more character-driven and psychologically rich films, I always forget that he's capable of dishing out these high-intensity moments of action that'll kind of blow your socks off when the time calls for it. Like, I'll never forget the drug deal gone wrong from Boogie Nights. That's truly a masterclass in the shit hitting the fan, and he does that, albeit to a lesser degree, on a couple of occasions in this film, like he always does. Overall, guys, One Battle After Another is a well-acted, impressively directed, and thematically charged powder keg. The entire ensemble does some good work here, but Sean Penn is probably the most intimidating movie villain that I've encountered in years. Much like the main character of the film, it can get a little messy at times when it comes to scenes dawdling along and getting overly ironic with the dialogue, but the project definitely accomplishes what it sets out to do without feeling like a chore. Not close to his best work for me, but Paul Thomas Anderson delivers a compelling and entertaining film yet again. One Battle After Another gets a Sully score of 4 stars. So that's my review of the latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie. What's your favorite film in his entire catalog? I absolutely have to go with Boogie Nights, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.